Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. Happy Wednesday. The week is proceeding along and I am joined by Linda Tran. Nice to see you again, Linda.
Always happy to be sitting.
And you joke that we are always matching, and we actually always are somehow.
We always are. It's something about the universe is bringing us together.
A psychic connection we share.
There it is.
Yes.
What's on your radar, Robby?
Let's get to it. Well, when Donald Trump is right, he is right. The president delivered a stirring defense of non-interventionism and the value of allowing free peoples all over the world to work out their own problems and grow and develop toward greater freedom and prosperity without the oversight and interference of the U.S. In his remarks at the Saudi Arabian Economic Conference in Riyadh, the president lambasted the neoconservatives in both parties whose nation-building schemes have repeatedly come to ruin, in some cases ruining the very nations they had intended to help. These remarks were truly amazing. Neoconservatism is the failed idea that the U.S. should police the world, overthrow bad and hostile governments, and try to install regimes that are more in line with Western values. Both the Democratic and Republican parties have been run by neocons for decades. The party's candidates were often both neocons. Hillary Clinton was a neocon. John McCain was a neocon. President George W. Bush was the architect of the most aggressively neoconservative administration in modern American history. But while these views were always popular with the establishment and with the elites, they were never very popular with the base. Finally, the base revolted. We got Trump, and now Trump is actually chartering a different course. Take a listen to these remarks.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionalists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities instead.
This is Trump at his best. Honestly, that speech could have been a radar I'd deliver on Rising. It was respectful of other cultures. It was empowering of them to choose prosperity and freedom and global engagement without forcing it on them via sanctions or bombs or other forms of coercion. These remarks come at a pivotal moment for Trump in the Middle East. By going directly to Hamas, the Trump administration was able to negotiate the freedom of the last American-Israeli hostage being held in Gaza. Trump's top negotiator, Steve Witkoff, is doing a terrific job representing the interests of America first. That doesn't mean turning our backs on Israel. On the contrary, it means prioritizing the safety and security of American interests, making sure that we are always choosing the best option for us, the most peaceful option whenever possible. It's the precise foreign policy that Republican voters have always wanted. And now Trump is actually giving it to them. So, Linda, I was delighted to hear Trump's remarks yesterday. It's something I would have said on this show and have said many times. It's really a different moment in time for this Republican Party to be saying things that were totally at odds with the party as of 10 years ago. There was also some big news that I'm sure we're going to talk about today coming out of this Riyadh conference with Qatar. The Qatar Airlines is buying Boeings from America. That's going to create thousands of jobs maybe in the manufacturing base for this for the Boeings in South Carolina, I believe it is. And that is fantastic news as well.
150 Boeing major jets, apparently.
I know you love transportation.
I love transportation. Anytime we're talking about aviation, I'm in my happy place. And look, I can appreciate the fact that we obviously, as a nation, want to support American businesses. You probably know this very well, Robby, that Boeing has been, for a very long time, America's greatest export. So it's good news to hear these kinds of negotiations happening. Here's the fundamental problem I have with both the approach to the world that the president has been describing and just sort of generally this business orientation, and they kind of stack up into a number of different streams. One is that this particular president has some significant conflicts of interest, which I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And so every time there's some sort of a big deal that sounds like it's really good for the nation, you have to ask it an additional layer of questions about how is it also benefiting him personally. That's something that I don't think we've seen before as a nation. The second thing is, I think it's good to promote business. It's certainly good to promote U.S. business, but I think there's been this conflation between what's the role of business versus what's the role of government, which, you know, I think are oriented towards very different ways for very good reason. Businesses are about maximizing profit. Government is about a whole lot of different things, including, not the least of which, is diplomacy around the world.
Well, I agree with that, but I think the diplomatic approach of the Trump administration is really, I mean, don't you have to concede, is really bearing some fruit here. We got a hostage back. That's a great accomplishment. You know, the Biden administration for the last year or two, the world was spinning out of control, and Biden, you know, had these lofty promises and commitments, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, whether it's Israel, Gaza, whether it's China. But I don't think the leaders of the world took him seriously enough. Trump, for all the, I was promised there'd be chaos if Trump was in control, but here he is trying to get an actual lasting peace in Gaza, which would be a tremendous accomplishment because there's thousands and thousands of people dying, trying to tamp down hostilities with Iran, something that he's fighting members of his own party to try to get in place. He's now moved toward a better trade situation with China, despite the immediate imposition of the tariffs. I see a coherent foreign policy geared toward the interests of the American people and global peace, which is what I've always wanted, and what the Republican base has always wanted, that they've never gotten out of their leadership.
Well, you know, I'm not one of these Democrats that reflexively hates everything that this administration is doing. We've established that. Yeah. But where I differ from you is, you say it hasn't been chaotic, and I think that has been emblematic of this administration in the first 100 and some odd days. Speaking specifically about tariffs, for example, here we are talking about, the headlines are, hey, Trump has come to a deal. But to me, it's much like he's the arsonist who set the fire, and now he's getting accolades for bringing a bucket of water to put out his own fire. I mean, these are not accomplishments to me. This is him not having a coherent trade policy, not having a coherent approach to how he wants to deal with nations like China. And so then we're kind of all running around like chickens with our heads cut off.
Well, we have more to discuss with the Qatar plane deal and also the new Trump policy with respect to Syria. Coming up, a Trump tower in Syria. Sanctions might be lifted. Some say Trump is playing with fire, and we'll discuss. Stay tuned.